Hey, this is Nick from Remedy667.com, the best place in the world for horror themed fonts and type design. Today is Horror Font Friday, and we're going to be looking at some type from the Dunwich Horror, which is an H.P. Lovecraft story. I don't know. This is from the post from Mexico. We're just going to try and get through it pretty quick. I've got like a million tabs open in Illustrator because I'm in the middle of a couple pretty big projects. So this might crash. We'll see. I don't know. But either way, let's take it away. All right. We got our A, D, E's, M, N, O's, and an S and an I. And that is what we get to start with. So that's not very much. So to get started, let's see, where should we begin? I think I will begin with a C. And I'm going to build the C with an S and an O. I'm going to cut my C right in the middle. I'm taking a big chunk out, but it doesn't really matter because I said so. Not really. It doesn't really matter because I'm not going to use that portion of the C. You'll notice there I am all fixing the angle. Sometimes when I'm working with like angular fonts like this, sometimes I'll straighten them out and then angle them again when I'm done, but that can cause a number of other issues. So we're not going to do that today. All right. So keep that there. So it goes kind of low. Same thing on the top. Clear that. I think I want this to go in a little bit. That seems like a pretty good C. That may work in this universe. Might need to take some of the italic away a little bit. Let's see about an F. I have another E over here, so I might try and use that for the F just for some variation. Nothing too wild. And see, I'm kind of mocking or doing kind of what the I does there. And like usual, we are going to move down that just a little bit there and correct this weird gap that happened. And fix that. All right. We should make a G from our C. I wasn't super excited about this C originally, so I'm going to make it a little bit taller. And I'm going to, I don't know if this makes any sense or not. But making it go out instead of in, is that sound interesting? Maybe take some out of the middle a little bit. Like that. And it did get a little too carried away with making it bigger. Didn't really need to go that much. I kind of like that. Those ambiguous G's. G's, you know. Make our H here. And this is going to be similar stuff with the H. I probably should have made the H from that end up there, but you know what? I didn't. So I don't know if you can hear everybody rolling their garbage cans up the street right now. It's a beautiful thing. H, I, we're going to skip the J and K. We always do. And that is not a JK. So the B, P, S, R, like those are all going to be kind of interesting because that top of that L is friggin' weird. Because all I have is a D, so I'm gonna have to trim that down to get our P, which is, I don't know, it just seems interesting to me. But I'm gonna start with the P, then do the R, then do the B, I think. So the way I'm gonna do that, I believe, is I'm gonna cut the P through the middle and cut those on the side. So bring this here, that should fit right in. And then this part of the P, I'm bringing up. Looks like it may need to get a little more angular. And that becomes the P, which kind of looks really right heavy. I don't know if that's just because the font is really right heavy or what, but I think pulling that out a little bit might help. That also seems really thick. For some reason. I don't know. You know what? So I'm going to build the R and the Q with my N. I'm also going to bring that up a little bit for my R and get that going. Expand it, stretch it, you know, whatever. Over here, just bending one pixel like a maniac. Make that a little shorter too, just to differentiate it from the P a little bit. All right, let's go over here and make the B. This is so inclined. It's going to fall over. All right, so the bottom of this B obviously has to chop up with that because that's the way the system appears to be working. This has to move up to like there. And this one has to move down to like here. Needs to move down a lot further, actually, closer to there. But it's got to lose some of the front, and this one's also got to lose some of, yes, beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. And that kind of comes in close-ish. So still missing our JK. We're going to get into the T right quick with the E. and I'm just going to cut that right down the middle. And you know what? I'll duplicate that because that's the same thing we're doing for the Z, which is interesting. I've never really... don't think I typically make a T and a Z at the same time. But there's a first time for everything. So group that. This one is going to lose a little bit of its top sticking out there. Let's get into the U. I guess the top of the I would have been the thing to use there, or the top of the N. I know, like, I'm always like, oh, well, you know, you take this part from here so that it looks more like the original, and then here I go just off the rails drawing things, and then they look super smooth compared to everything else. Why did I make a J and not a U? Apparently we're in La La Land over here. All right, we're going to make our K and our Z at the same time, the same way we just did with our reflect. Okay, wait. Holy moly, yeah, it was supposed to reflect. Weird. It's so inclined. I lost my cursor. There it is. That Z looks really bad. But that's not important right now. What's important is this K, which is actually kind of weird because it should be going up and out. We're going to cut it right there, and this piece is going to cut right there. And we'll pull that out a little bit and cut it off so it doesn't keep cutting in. PQRS. All right, so for our U, we're going to take this H and just cut it right here. Group. V is going to be our A. Didn't mean to grab the type tool. Wanted to rotate it just to see, because I think that's actually going to be the easiest way. Not sure why it had all that. And we're going to cut some of that fluff off. V, we're going to make our W from there. Or maybe we'll do it. We usually do it with the N, but it seems so weird. These characters seem so overwhelming and giant. All right, so that piece is going to stay, and this piece is going to go. And that's where we're borrowing from. it seems as though the X and the Y will be the trickiest here. Let's try the traditional style of creating a Y and see how that works. It might work fine, it might not. That got really thin, but when reeled back out, I think that might actually work. That fixed that Z, fixed his wagon good. Whoops, what is that? And let's take what is our V, delete the bottom, grab this duplicate A we had from earlier, and shrink it down as well. And there's our X. That actually looks pretty good. So here we go for today's fancy, fun piece of lettering from the Dunwich Horror. We have all of our alphabet. I don't think I forgot anything today. That G, I think, is pretty interesting with that on the outside. That K looks terrible. That's all right. The P still looks a little right heavy to me too. The Q and the R are also terrible. I just don't like that piece jutting out there. The collisions I think are fine. This could be tightened up, especially like in a redraw. I'd probably throw this on my iPad and just re-sketch the letters just to get some of the like wavy sides to match up a little bit better. That's kind of tricky on incline fonts, but yeah, so that's it. Thanks for hanging out. I will see you next week for Horror Font Friday. Until then, check out remedy667.com and shoot us a message. Say hi. See you next week.